Dear audience, we are at the end of a crazy year and the whole world has been hit hard in health, political, but also in economic terms. After years of economic upswing, the current situation has led to a sudden change in our setup, which we now have to find a way around. Additive manufacturing has experienced a real boost in recent years with an average growth yearly of about 25%. This year, on the other side, according to BCG figures, we are experiencing a decline of about 16%. These are the economic facts, but much more interesting for all of us is the assessment of the major players in our industry. We are therefore starting Formnext Connect with our executive panel. And we are pleased that we were able to win excellent participants with whom I would now like to discuss the current status, but above all, the outlook for additive manufacturing. I would like to welcome live here in the studio Karsten Heuser, Vice President Additive Manufacturing at Siemens Digital Industries, and Arno Hell, Chief Venture Officer at ACAM Ventures. Welcome Arno, welcome Karsten, how are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having us here. It's a great studio. Yeah.
I'm very pleased to have you live here on stage, but we have some guests digitally connected. So I would like to welcome Mari Langer, CEO of EOS. I would like to welcome Dr. Martin Göde, Director Future Production and Plant Concepts at Volkswagen. And last but not least, Dr. Johannes Schleifenbaum, Head of Aachen Center for Manufacturing. Hello, all together. Welcome to the panel. Good to have you here.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So first panel, perfect internet connection. I like that very much. Marie, good to have you here on the panel. You have been CEO of EOS for just over a year, and after such a short time, you had to face a completely new challenge. How have you experienced the last few months in additive manufacturing?
So, of course, times are challenging. They're challenging for me, they're challenging for all of us. But I also think that during this pandemic now, AM could also prove its great potential. Because what we saw is actually when it comes to the security of supply chains, when it comes to on-demand production of system critical parts, AM could play a supportive role here. In a time when mask, breathing apparatus, and nasal swabs were in short supply, one company after another has turned to 3D printing to produce these parts. And of course, we supported our customers here as a technology provider. And so in this sense, this future technology has, if you will, experienced its long overdue breakthrough during the pandemic to really prove how AM can show its whole potential. And so in early April, actually, we joined forces with our AM community and other industry players as well, creating an online platform called 3D Against Corona, where it was about really offering free download and immediate print solutions for people who wanted to help. It was not only us, we were just like having the platform. We of course worked alongside with a lot of partners and customers to make that happen. And so I would say that 3D printing experienced an additional boost. Of course, we see a decline in investment just because we see a decline in general when it comes to our economy. But I really feel that everyone understood better this concept of distributed production, locally and on-demand production, much better. And for that, I would say that we work day and night to help our customers to really prove this potential. We know and understand that the industrialization of the technology, of course, is still a hurdle, but we also believe that now stepping in, making supply chains more flexible and more resilient can help a lot also AM to grow and to prove the industry that we have a benefit here.
Great, thank you so much. Karsten, you are not only responsible for all topics related to additive manufacturing at Siemens, you're also on the exhibitor advisory board here at Formnext. So Marie just mentioned it, the potential of additive manufacturing is much more visible, and it's going to have a boost due to the crisis. Do you also experience this from your point of view? And on the other side, what does this mean here for the Formnext?
We experience this as well. So during the last 6 months, we see more and more interest in additive manufacturing. Companies never have thought about this before. So as you know, we are working with machine builder, machine user to help them on the process chain with software automation, digitalization. And especially our business is growing significantly while the market is pretty struggling currently. So we see really a good growth in this additive manufacturing space. And especially, as Marie already mentioned, we see a shift into applications for factory improvement, productivity, these resilient supply-demand chains, and people get asked to earn money with additive manufacturing. They have to prove the business cases. So this happens as we speak, and I see a great chance as well in the virtual Formnext, because normally the AM community was meeting, everybody had party in Frankfurt, and we were feeling like a close family, having done tremendous efforts and achievements throughout the last years. But with the virtual Formnext Connect, we have now one chance. We have the chance to reach even more people that would never come to the fair. So we can extend our reach and make the additive area bigger. If I compare it inside of Siemens with my colleagues on factory automation, and it's still a tiny, small puzzle piece in the full world of manufacturing. And people already talk about it could be a tipping point in 2020. Some call it the next birthday of additive manufacturing. Let's see, future will tell how far this can be brought forward.
Thank you so much. Johannes, question to you. With your professorship at RWTH Aachen University and as managing director of the Aachen Center for Additive Manufacturing, you are particularly promoting the long-term development of additive manufacturing. As I hear Marie and Karsten, can we get euphoric now, or what do you say?
Well, for getting euphoric is always some sort of personal attitude, I think. I see it, if I may call it realistic, I see a two-folded answer or a two-folded approach on that. Of course, such a situation, such a pandemic that we have today, and these days, although we read out through the media that we have a vaccine in reach, we will see what happens with that. I see this causes tremendous uncertainty, and uncertainty is always some sort of struggling object for if you want to go for investments. Marie said that, Karsten said, okay, we need the applications, but that is done often with existing CapEx that is there. And this sort of uncertainty is kind of pushing investments to the future and see, okay, we want to have a more stable view into the future. That is one side of the story. And that is, of course, especially not good for such a young technology where we do need investments, where we do need technological advancement. But on the other hand side, I see so many networks occurring, so many things happening around additive manufacturing. I mean, we're mostly in that scene here in the metal additive manufacturing, industrial additive manufacturing part, we're from automotive industry, industrial applications, but there are so many applications on construction side, for instance. We see in the lightweight design, which is originally been meant only for aeronautics and the automotive industry, now in the building infrastructure industry, we see many approaches where additive manufacturing is taking grip and it's getting really forward. We see so many additive manufacturing applications in the medical and biomedical sector. And we see that throughout the interchange of ideas in those networks and through more and more educated people getting into those scenes, finding ideas, finding the right applications, because still this is not easy to find the right applications. but we see that this is happening. So I do not think enthusiastic would be the right word. This is a damper from my point of view, but it also makes us reconsidering about the true strengths of additive manufacturing, which we heard before, and combining that with various approaches in various branches with new dedicated and educated people. I just told in the few minutes before before the executive panel that I just recently came out through the English lecture. So we have an international track, additive manufacturing in Aachen these days, and we have a 3-digit number of students going into that, and these are all talents that will be on the market, that will find the applications. So if you want to judge me on the long run, yes, I'm enthusiastic, but with a still of a drop of let's say not too much enthusiasm for the next upcoming weeks, months, but we will get through this, definitely.
Okay, we will come back on the uncertainties, definitely back afterwards in the talk. Martin, at Volkswagen AG, you are responsible for future production processes and are strongly involved in the topic of additive manufacturing. What is happening in your company? Because the automotive is one of the most critical industries if it comes to additive, because you have so many mass production topics. So what is going on, and what is the influence of additive manufacturing on your production right now?
Yeah, so first of all, the awareness of additive manufacturing inside the entire Volkswagen Group is very high, and it has been increased over the last years. So today, just to give some outlines, so we have applied prototypes manufacturing, we have applied specific vehicle part manufacturing for small series. So we are happy to be at that stage. Furthermore, we established to produce tools and production equipment to be applied in true operational manufacturing. So therefore, we are very happy that we can have a situation that does not suffer from Corona impact. So there are still challenges we would like to accelerate, to increase the production volume, for sure. But so in general, we are in a situation where we believe the additive manufacturing is ready to be applicable also for added value in electromobility. And this is a perspective maybe we can continue later on, where we do believe successful applications to succeed really in a true volume application for additive manufacturing could be a next step, next progress we can all achieve together.
Great, thank you. Arno, next question to you. As Chief Venture Officer at AM Ventures, you work with a large number of startups. Let us address startups quickly. What is it like for a startup when you're still in the beginning of your business? Financing needs to be secured. How do they, or how do you experience the current situation? Must be scary.
Yes, well, this was the emotional situation a couple of months ago, indeed. It was quite a shock in the beginning, because once the lockdown started, we did not know what was coming at us and how long this all would take. Of course, first of all, you're scared because you don't know how to look beyond, because you don't know how far beyond is, actually. But after a couple of months in, and now looking back at the past time that we've started to adapt to the new situation, we can say in a very relieved way and very optimistic that this is a big opportunity for additive manufacturing and for startups specifically, very specifically. So when I look into our portfolio of companies, 16 companies around the world, they've all done a tremendous job maneuvering their ships through the crisis with a lot of resilience, with a lot of positivity and great leadership. And now every single one of the companies is very well on track, has found their way to adapt to the situation and to benefit also from this entirely new environment that we are faced with. And I'm very happy and very optimistic when I look ahead now.
Great. What is there a shift that we can see in the startup area? So what are they focusing on right now in the crisis? And what do you think are the key topics being driven by the startups right now?
It has been mentioned already. I was asked a similar question just last year at Formnext, and there for us, from our perspective, looking at our technological radar, a lot of content evolved around new hardware concepts and new types of machines and new hardware technology, simply. This has changed completely in the past half year or maybe even past year. What we are now seeing is a rise of applications. Now teams know how to utilize this technology that is getting more and more mature every day. And they know how to design for the technology. Just to mention a few examples, Conflux Technology of Australia that is revolutionizing thermal management with their 3D printed heat exchangers. Or just a couple of weeks ago, we invested in Additive Drives, a team of highly skilled and very experienced engineers that is now 3D printing components of electric motors and revolutionizing electromobility. And this is for me clearly the sign that we are now moving this entire industry towards the manufacturing age and revolutionizing the way how products are being produced in the future.
Great, thank you. Martin, Arno just mentioned the expression manufacturing age, and if we talk about Volkswagen, then I wouldn't call it the mother of manufacturing, but I mean, this is what you're absolutely into. So you're very far into serious production of parts with AM, but I can imagine there are still major challenges in the area of standards or certifications. To what extent do you cooperate with the machine manufacturers here in order to get these standards and certifications for the products coming out of AM?
I think that is an essential topic, to cooperate with the machine manufacturers, but not only with the manufacturer itself. So it requires much more cooperation activities to achieve a global step forward, really to apply additive manufactured parts in vehicle production for volumes. I think that is the hurdle and the overall goal for an automotive manufacturer. Not only Volkswagen, it's also attractive for all the OEMs. But we count on the performance that we do see so far. Of course, there are hurdles and uncertainties, but we are strongly motivated to tackle those. And I would like to distinguish between two main areas. Of course, the cooperation with the machine manufacturers who provides new technologies is an essential one. With respect to build volume, to materials, but furthermore, to have really a production running basing on additive manufacturing, it requires much more. It requires the entire, to look and to focus at the entire process chain. So the design, the preparation of the job itself, and of course the post-processing and the quality issues, everything need to be in place at the same time. And so therefore it's much more important to have a more global view when it comes to the question, are we ready to apply additive manufacturing out of production? We are strong working on it, and we believe it's now the right time because there's a design change in the scene, because we have the transformation from combustion engines to electromobilities. It's a huge chance, and we are strong motivated to make use of it.
Thank you. Marie, probably we go directly to you answering or commenting on this point. How do you communicate with the car manufacturer, especially Martin just mentioned it in the electromobility topic? What is the role of EOS in supporting them? I mean, we all know that the technology is there. We don't get at each application to, let's call it a serious production volume that we might need. But what is the communication between you and the automotive industry as a machine manufacturer, and how do you consider the whole process chain?
So first of all, I want to emphasize that we are not only considering ourselves as a machine manufacturer. we consider ourselves as a solution provider. We're very much aware that EOS cannot do everything by themselves. Of course, we need strong partners for that. And we have great partners also with Siemens and Ventures sitting on that panel to really make sure that we support and drive the industrialization of AM, because we all know that the industry can only grow. And we see ourselves as the pioneer and the market leader in this technology. And of course, there we also feel the responsibility to support our customers accordingly. Are we there yet? No, I don't think so. And you're all aware of that. What we, of course, did in the past was to make sure that we created an internal team that is really helping our customers to qualify a production. We have a lot of application engineers that are really working with our customers to, if they want that, to develop the applications accordingly. And then, of course, they're great partners, and there are also startups in venture ecosystem like Dimension and others when it comes now to post-processing, because we all know that that's still a critical part, but also in the software area where we partner with Siemens and others to really be able to look more at the whole solution chain, or also value chain, production chain, how you can call it, to really make sure that from the beginning to the end, we can develop together with our customers how the production needs to look like, to really make AM an integrative part and use the technology with the best potential. So of course, we also look at certifications, at production standards, and that really comes, it always depends on the industry and on the customer, what we have to do there. And there we also learn at EOS, because we have a lot of different industries and a lot of different demands towards our technology and our offering. But of course, we aggregate them into requirements. And I think industrialization is a standard that we all want to achieve, and we're working day and night to do so.
So Martin mentioned electromobility. Is it one of the focus topics right now at EOS?
It, of course, is a great topic. So it is a little bit like, how do you say it? Like, we know the automotive industry for us is a little bit like the end game. You know, there are a lot of standards, and if we make it right there, then I think we have a lot of other industries in our pockets as well. So what we need is actually a really flexible project together with some dedicated customers, like now also the team at VW, for example, to really develop the production chain together, support as much as possible, learn, adapt, and so make sure that we reach the standards. Because of course, especially looking at electromobility, sustainability is a big topic for us at EOS, and we see a great potential also in. And not only proving that our technology in general is a more responsible manufacturing possibility than conventional manufacturing technologies, but also that we can, with the right applications that our customers can develop here, can make a huge difference in the world. So it is a big topic, and I'm very dedicated also to make this work.
Great. Johannes, question to you. I mean, we talked about boost, we talked about some uncertainties, but there's more attention on additive manufacturing. Is that also expressed in a higher demand for the educational offer? So do you experience more people coming to you who want to learn about the industry and who want to study in this area?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we started a whole lecture series about 4 to 3 years ago. Whenever you start something like that, is also a sort of promotion, getting the people, getting to know, or getting the impression that there is something which you can refer to, that there's something available on the market. I mean, we experienced that on the free market for professional education. There are still popping up like mushrooms each and everywhere. This is not so much what we do these days, but what we realized throughout those 3 years is that we started without any commercializing, so to say, with any marketing. We started with about 40 students, and we're way more than 150 per year right now. So from the students' perspective, still there is a large demand. We still see that in professional education. We do some sort of mixed martial arts approach there, where we have not only the theoretical ones, but also the practical sessions, which are something that is crucially needed. We have a concept which is called then train the trainer, which we do for getting the knowledge not only into the academic level, but also into the, what we call in Germany then apprenticeship, the dual education, being on-site in the companies, being off-site at the schools. And there's a train the trainer concept as well. The problem with that is that, I mean, if we talk about additive manufacturing, everybody has a certain idea. Most of the guys that are sitting around here mainly talk basically, it's maybe only a guess, about powder bed fusion, metal powder bed fusion, and sometimes plastic powder bed fusions. But if I talk about additive manufacturing, I think about the 27 technologies that are underneath that umbrella, and that is so widespread, and that is referring to direct energy deposition, producing no emission brake discs for electromobility in the future. Of course, there's the casting, then that is only the hybrid manufacturing. We talk about metal powder bed fusion. We talk about bioprinting. There are so many different levels. If we just cut it down to the industrial level alone, I see that there's a tremendous increase in interest still within the students, within extracurricular education, for the apprenticeship type of education. And besides that, I think that additive manufacturing is, and that is I think the worst part of this story. That whenever I talk about additive manufacturing, going around in companies with politicians, the most sweet thing about additive manufacturing, that it's so easy to transform digitization into reality. And that is also with Formnext, where you normally can run around, touch parts, have a feeling, and see that this digital reality gets really, there's that strong connection. I sometimes call it that AM is the real twin of digitization. So a bit the inverse way. And when you bring that idea to the people, I think there will be even more coming to that topic and finding that idea interesting. And from my perspective, I don't know actually the lead times of an AM machine. I don't want to go much into detail into that, but I guess it's less than educating a student being capable and being able to design AM ready pads afterwards. So I guess the real bottleneck is, especially if we talk about applications, is getting the people ready for AM. And this is where I see still a large growth, but still a large demand.
Karsten, thank you, Johannes. Johannes just mentioned a large or big interest of students into that technology. We are not only talking about SLS, we have several technologies included in that. We are approaching any application or any idea in the world, and this is expressed by the European Patent Office. They're naming new record numbers each and every year. So, and I've seen the increase, and it's nearly incredible. The main patent applications are in the health sector and the energy sector. We have been talking about the crisis. Is that going to slow down this innovation speed, or what is your impression on that one?
Yeah, good question. I think, first of all, this rise in patent application, this is because of the results of the whole additive community. We have done a lot of homework in the last years to get, like mentioned by the colleagues here, the process to be ready to find the applications. Let me give you two examples. In the Siemens brand ecosystem, we run about 200 plus additive industrial machines. It's in Siemens Mobility, it's in Healthineers, and it's in our Siemens Energy company. And I think the innovations will not slow down in the energy, and Siemens Energy has as well another company as well serving the aerospace market, with material solutions. But they have learned now how to find the applications, and they are starting to solve real day problems. And just traveling here, I heard that Prof from Siemens Energy mentioned Siemens Energy wants to step out of the coal industry market, and additive is an integrated part of their strategy. Why? Because they have now software tools, they have complex machines for running devices and parts, which can, for example, help to move into the hydrogen industry. So therefore, as well, we're working with a lot of aerospace companies. We see slowing down the current pace in investing, but many have their machines, have their industrialization on the shop floor, and in no of the companies, the additive program is sacrificed. And one third example is beyond Siemens, and this is a pretty one. We will come up later today at 1 o'clock, we will inaugurate. And this is what shows you really, like mentioned by the colleagues, what is possible with additive manufacturing. This is a midsole, and we will start a virtual production today for 200,000 of these. And this is only possible because of partnering. It's partnering with the machine builder. Here we have EOS, Dimension in that game. We are partnering as well with other post-processing machine builder. We are looking on an end-to-end chain with all the digitalization tools we can get from Siemens to support it. And this is crazy what you can do. And just imagine if these kind of applications go into volume, then this will really change the situation. And therefore, these kind of applications, as in the patent study, I think we have now the tools at hand, powerful software, digitalization tools, good machines, and now it's about winning one application after the other, like at the end going into the automotive space, yes, with very large serial numbers we need to reach as well highest quality level, but this should be our ambition to fulfill these expectations as the whole additive community needs to work together.
Great. Arno, Karsten just mentioned less investments. I mean, beside all the first thing I need to admit, it's great to see the enthusiasm that is still in the industry. And in my personal opinion, this is the main driver that we all have all the time, because everybody knows that this industry is a breakthrough in so many applications. It helps us so much in changing our environmental situation and all the difficult things in the industry. But Arno, I mean, you are responsible for investments. Johannes mentioned it at the very beginning, so there's a certain uncertainty. So how do we overcome this feeling right now? Because what you need is money, right? I mean, in order to push forward the industry, it's still a quite small market if you look at the overall worldwide market size. How do we get back to the old speed again, and how do we get more investments in the industry?
Well, I think money is not even necessarily the big issue here. It's the great teams and the great application ideas that we are looking for, because we do have a situation. I mean, look at the stock markets. The big tech stocks are the ones who are benefiting from this current crisis. The old established markets are the ones that are suffering. And additive manufacturing is the big interface technology, taking digital products into the real world. It's almost like a dimensional portal, if you want to call it like this. And therefore we are among the big beneficiaries of the current crisis, and therefore there is a high willingness to invest. The big challenge is the competence. So not many people today know where to invest and what criteria to apply to evaluate an investment. So we are still looking much more for the highly motivated entrepreneurial teams that get great education from universities and find the courage to set up their startup and their own business. If you have the entrepreneurial skills and the passion for the technology, you will also find the great and competent investors, which, in my opinion, Europe and also the United States are quite full of. And I'm convinced that this industry is a great breeding ground for very successful startups.
Great. We talked a lot about applications, innovations. Marie, I mean, Corona taught us one thing: we need to change some things. That's what at least I feel. I have the feeling that society starts to rethink its customer behavior, its approach to our environment. Why is this important for AM's development, or the other way around? I mean, why is AM important for this development? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so thank you for that question, because I think it is referring to a very relevant point. So AM actually makes customized solution possible, and it makes possible to produce on demand. So looking at all the inventories we store at the world, we can have digital files, digital inventory, and only produce the parts when we really need them. And for that, it is, from my point of view and our point of view at EOS, we of course can be much more resource efficient, not only when it comes to the actual application part properties, but also when it comes to the way how we look at production, how we look at producing parts, selling parts and products to our consumers in the end. Because I think in the end, people want much more to influence what they really get. You can also see that in a completely different industry when it comes to organic food. I still remember like 20 years ago, living at home, my mom, she was always buying in these organic shops. And I was kind of like, not the nerd in school, I was very much established, but it was always like, oh, like this organic food, that's so cool. So many people now, they run into these organic shops, and it's even kind of like much more established. Of course, not everyone can afford it, that's also clear. But it kind of like, there are trends that we see in the world to a more sustainable living. And I also think that AM can provide a solution here, because we don't need to produce like 1 million parts at a time. We maybe only need to produce 100,000 for specific applications that are maybe even more customized to the needs. And of course, there are industries where it makes more sense to customize, but I think also in the automotive industry, that will be a thing going forward, maybe not the next years, but the next like decades. And especially for parts that can be seen and that can be touched. And yeah, so I think it's like more the user-centered design that we need, and AM is giving great opportunities to do that. And of course, also connecting that with responsible manufacturing, our purpose at EOS, where we really want to push resource-efficient manufacturing, making sure that we do not only provide competitive advantage to our customers because they can make money with it, but also making more money because they need less resources and they offer better solutions for their customers, but in the end also for the planet.
Great. Martin, Marie just mentioned the super trend of individualization. And we all know that in automotive industries, the last couple of years, it was solved by a tremendous number of derivatives coming out to the market. So Volkswagen has, 10 models of the Golf in various editions, etc. So I think there's a change in mindset in your industry regarding that individualization trend. Is AM probably the key that helps you then later in production to not do just in time in terms of several derivatives, but more, I can decide what I want to have in the future and you build it or you print it for me the way I want it? Is that something that could happen?
I try to pick up also the thinking behind. So first of all, it would be a dream or maybe a nightmare to believe that customers will buy a car because it's additive manufactured. So when it comes to customers' decision, with respect to mobility, of course, first goal is that there is still individual mobility basing on cars that customers want to drive and want to buy. And and to own those. Yeah, so that is an important aspect, and I believe the trend of segmentation in the automotive industry and the increasing number of derivatives and models that is unstoppable. Yeah? So that's a reaction on customers' expectations in different regions, in different markets. First of all, I think additive manufacturing is one of the best opportunities to fulfill customers' expectations when it comes to true touchable individualization wishes, yeah, in interior parts or in design parts, to highlight, okay, this is my car. There are certain individual parts that on my individual purposes manufactured. And so secondly, complete different orientation. Of course, it's important to understand what is the overall expectation when it comes to the decision, okay, I would like to invest in a new car. Its performance, its quality, its further, so tremendous variation of characteristics. So therefore it's important to address an additive manufacturing ability to bring in performance increase, economic increase, yeah, to influence, yeah, to reduce prices, to produce better quality, durability. So this is important when it comes to the decision whether to invest in a conventional production process or to go additive. And we believe that additive is now getting overcome the hurdles to be in also value-adding complement amongst all the other manufacturing processes that already exist when it comes, it's my last point, to decide on standard parts in a car, not the individual ones, not unique parts, when it comes to standard parts in the car to provide performance, to provide functions, integrated functions, and furthermore. That is important. That's a huge objective that we address and tackle all together.
Great, thank you. Karsten, you want to add
If
something?
I may add something. I think in automotive, it might be a design feature which could be nice to have, but always with individualization, the crucial topic is, would the customer like to pay an added price tag on it? And this depends now on the value you bring to the customer. It can be a design car which is nicer than the other ones, yes, but I think these are not the first applications for individualization. If you look on like medical orthesis and other stuff, there is a big value in individualizing this to the human problem you have, and therefore this would be more first applications in my view. And as well, it's always not easy to make it affordable. We have seen tons of one-time wonder individualized applications, a printed car, a printed bike, a printed motorcycle. Yes, this is nice, you can put it on a fair, people are overwhelmed, but then it's gone away. And we experienced this with Siemens on a bicycle helmet, how complex it is to produce this in an affordable manner at 50, 70,000, and people don't want to pay twice or three times the price they pay for a normal bicycle helmet. They may pay an added price tag to this, but you need to manage all the processes, the complexity from the front end till the production, and this is pretty complex, and this is something we definitely need to look into how to solve and make it affordable from the end-to-end flow.
I think this is important also if it comes to expectation management in such a company. Arno, you want to add something quickly?
Yes, maybe adding to what Karsten said in terms of customization. Before I became a venture capital investor, I was involved in business development for lifestyle products of 3D printing with EOS. It was a great time at EOS, but the job was very frustrating simply because the technology was not there yet to generate lifestyle products with 3D printing. There was no coloring, the materials portfolio was not there, productivity of machines was not there. But we dealt a lot with the idea of what is customization, what is the adaptation of a product to a certain environmental requirement. And I fully agree, the fit to taste, so just the aesthetic individualization is not something that gives us value. It generates just more products that cannot be sold on to someone else because they are individualized. So you produce almost more trash sometimes when it comes to just the pure aesthetic individualization. But there are two more degrees of customization which generate real value. So the next one, in my opinion, is the fit to a certain performance. So when you look at a shoe, the fit to a certain kind of sport that you would like to do, or even with a car, adapting a car to driving it in the tropics or in South Africa or in Alaska are certainly different requirements. And there you can generate real value. And in my opinion, the highest level of value that I can generate is if I can adapt a product to the body, to ergonomics, because I can accelerate healing times. I can reduce the time that a patient spends in the office, in the hospital, for example, or can even extend the life cycle of an implant to forever. Instead of just 10 years. And this is where I create real value with customization, and this is where we should really focus our efforts on.
Great insight. Thank you both. We have some questions from the audience, and I would like to share them with you. There's a question, Johannes, probably you can answer that. Can we eliminate post-processing ever?
It depends on what you refer to as post-processing. I mean, this is a typical term for additive manufacturing. I think every single technical product that we have in hand, in a car, in a plane, in whatever device you may imagine, has undergone several processing steps. So sort of, if you call milling itself, milling a part, this is still post-processing because the sheet, the rail, the whatever was processed before. So I think this is a typical AM related topic, which I don't like so much. If we think about it, will we ever have parts out of the AM machine ready to use? Well, yes, there are several parts, but there will be, of course, parts which never make sense to get out of the machine ready to use because that would be then so expensive. So as a typical engineer, my answer would, it depends. So no, yes and no, some sort of in between. There will be parts, there are parts, but there will be parts which will never be ready out of the machine just due to the simple fact that they need heat treatment or something like that.
Great. As we are in the executive panel, it depends is always allowed. So thank you, Johannes, for that answer. A question again to Martin and Marie, probably combined. I mean, we see the different automotive OEMs dealing with AM, and there are different stages of adopting AM. Are they not facing the same challenges, and why there's no closer cooperation in that topic?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Maybe I cannot give the entire answer, but so let's talk about the Volkswagen Group. Yeah, to give you one example. So we have 12 strong brands inside Volkswagen, and of course we have individual driven processes amongst the brands. But when we talk about additive manufacturing to be used in our production for production purposes, we cooperate amongst the brands intensively. Yeah, of course, there are cooperations with others, but mainly with suppliers and strong partners, because that is, at the moment, the situation to compete in the market. Yeah, but I believe it would be wise to rethink additive manufacturing and to strengthen maybe joint forces OEM-wise to tackle the highest hurdles and the challenges to be faster, to providing technologies that we could benefit all together. Yeah, so we know examples where we did in really tremendous challenges with respect to e-mobility, battery technology. We cooperate with other OEMs, and so therefore it would be a good idea also to consider additive manufacturing on that level in future.
And maybe if I can build on that, it's also what we see is, and there was a reference already to this kind of concepts that especially in group of companies, normally like the first step is to build like a AM innovation center and then kind of like make everyone kind of like participating in these learnings and try like this a little bit to also get this thinking and also the potential of the technology more in also the other areas of engineering in this group of companies. So to take a first step into AM, that's what we see across industries, actually, this kind of behavior, where we also see that there's a lot of potential and that maybe meets a little bit with what was just said, is also that, of course, looking at the supply chain and the suppliers, these are actually the ones that really need to adopt the technology and master the production also in a way to stay competitive and be still able to offer the OEMs some competitive advantage that can be then different from part to part and also a customer to customer, but has like the same base. So there we see that, of course, suppliers often offer different OEMs different parts that use the same potential and the same knowledge to produce them. So there is a lot of collaboration going on, and that's how we see it. But then, of course, every company needs to find their competitive edge. And that was also said by Dr. Goethe right now, that in the end, it's about how to position and it's yourself as a company. But there is a lot of collaboration going on because some problems are the same.
Great. Thank you. There are many questions. I'll pick one other out. Karsten, what will be the impact of production on demand on the global supply chain? Will China stay the factory of the world, or will this change?
That's as well a good question.
Awesome question.
We have heard it several times. Digital warehouse is such a buzzword for producing spare parts where you need it locally. And I truly believe in this concept that this will happen because our colleagues in Siemens Mobility are already doing it. They're having additive centers throughout the world where they need spare parts. So it's about how to deliver and print this part fast at the place where you need it. So there will be a lot of these applications. This will be on-demand driven. You need platforms. We're working as well with an additive manufacturing network to serve these kind of applications and business cases, where it doesn't matter that you need to have one production in China. You can have it everywhere because additive starts to scale at a small factory level already. But there will be as well large serial applications in future where you have big factories doing exactly this application. You will find both, and we simulated a lot of AM factory concepts, and it's coming to a level that you have the printers connected with AGVs working, the depowdering is optimized, automated, and then it doesn't matter so much where you place this kind of factory. And it's because we're having a big power here as well in Europe with the machine builder, with the big end manufacturer. If we utilize this power, I think it doesn't matter, and we can do it anywhere at the end, depending on the use case and the application.
Great. This probably answers another question that I would address to Johannes. There's a question from rapid prototyping to rapid production. How soon we can achieve that? If I consider local production, isn't it kind of rapid production already? I mean, look at the aerospace, if you're printing spare parts on site, isn't it already rapid production? So I think you're mute.
Sorry, I need to unmute myself. Yeah, of course we got rapid production on the ISS, difficult to reach place. We are talking about printing regolith, so Moonstone. I mean, since we are able to have wireless network on the moon within a few years, then we will maybe also be able to print houses over there. We are at rapid production, definitely. Think about the more than 10,000 implants that are incorporated in human bodies in Germany alone per year these days. This is rapid production. I mean, hopefully for the patients, otherwise they would have a problem if it's only prototyping, and we'll see what happens after a couple of years. No, just kidding. I think this is rapid production. But what I think and what I like about the comparison is, once we started back in 1984, when Chuck Hull invented that stereolithography apparatus, where it was only made for prototyping to have visual aids to see whether mock-ups are good and fit. And then we just see that change, and we call it today then, after rapid prototyping, rapid tooling, rapid manufacturing, now additive manufacturing. And what is changing in mind is now that we tailored all throughout those last 3 decades, we try to tailor the process according to process materials that were meant for other production technologies. And that change in mind is sort of, it's weighted more heavy than just producing a couple of parts. Now we're thinking of this as a production technology, and we're inventing raw materials fitting into that production technology. We're inventing designs fitting just that production technology. And that is not meant then more for prototypes by the true sense of the word. It is really made for producing real life parts. So by just exchanging the words, there is metaphorically happening something else around this, and that is what we expecting, not what we're expecting, that's what we are experiencing these days, and that's what's actually happening, just in the end, by changing rapid prototyping to rapid manufacturing, and a whole ecosystem existing and being created upon that two words.
Thank you so much. Arno, where do you see the most scalable AM business nowadays? And yeah, what are the applications that are right now already very scalable?
Good question. I mean, I'm a big fan of applications. I don't know how many times we've said it already, but particularly components of electric motors is a really big topic. It's going to accelerate the digital mobility development, because it makes electromobility even more competitive with combustion engines in the future, and this is a scaling case itself. And if we master the stability of the manufacturing technology and the repeatability of the results, then this is certainly one of the very high volume applications in my opinion. So any kind of metal applications where we can generate real value beyond just the aesthetics, where we can generate a performance increase, where we can reduce carbon emissions, where we can make batteries last longer, where we can accelerate healing times. This is solving real problems and therefore generating real values.
And where real values are, there will be the scalable business indeed.
Definitely. And it's a very simple business case to calculate, because it's beyond emotions. It's pure fact and numbers based.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much. Marie, we got a personal question for you here. Let me tell us more about the motto you have behind responsible manufacturing. # responsible manufacturing. I think this is from you, right?
Yes, this is from myself, or I have to say it's from the US. It's so responsible is our purpose. We actually established it only a few weeks ago now. And what lays behind that is that we actually really believe that the most current conventional manufacturing techniques are very restrictive, waste raw materials and are not very efficient. And we know that additive manufacturing can overcome these negative factors. So of course, we still need to do some things here, but it's looking at biodegradable materials, it's looking at making green factories, like really being aware how much energy do our factories use and how can we be competitive with that. And of course, making sure, looking at the applications, that we really use this technology in a way that we can produce parts that use less resources, or are even like we know in the lightweight component area, are also leading to the fact that you need less fuel in airplanes and these kinds of things. So yeah, I'm 100% convinced that our technology, especially with the connection to the digital world, and now the whole development of digitization that we see in the digital factories of the future, that ACAM plays a very important role here. Responsible manufacturing means to establish a new normal here and find a more sustainable way of looking at resources, but still being able to produce the parts that you want to produce and live in a modern industrial world.
Great. Thank you so much. Perfect closing words, because we're coming to the end of the session. Thank you to all of you. Amazing discussion, amazing insight. Sorry for the people that left more questions. I'm pretty sure you can contact the people here on stage directly via LinkedIn or over our platform. Get your question asked. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it very much. I hope you outside on the screens as well. I wish you all success for the future. Speed it up and bring the innovation to reality. A lot of success for you, and enjoy the rest of the conference here at Formnext. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.